Now, how many of you have been trying, but you've been seeing no movement when it comes to your manifestation journey? Have you felt like you're putting in all of this effort to manifest your specific desires, yet nothing seems to be happening? There's nothing that you can tangibly touch, taste, smell that confirms that your desires are unraveling at the moment. There's no movement. And I know that a lot of you come to me saying, I know I shouldn't say that, Athena, but there's no movement. It's okay. It's okay. We're not being delusional here. It's just a misunderstanding of the law and what is meant by no movement, right? So I'm going to explain all of it here, because I know a lot of you have been wondering, well, it's been days, weeks, months, years since I set this intention, since I imagined, since I scripted it out, and nothing's been happening. Did I do something wrong? Did the universe misplace my order somehow? Is my manifestation lost in transit somewhere between here and Narnia, perhaps? Has some sort of lion in the wardrobe got it? But you know what I mean? We do start to wonder and we do start to question ourselves. But what if I was to tell you that a lot of the movement happens in a place that we can't always see it? But I'm not going to just fob you guys off with, look, you know, there's no movement, movement is everywhere and you can't see it and that's it. No, I'm here to reassure you and to make you feel better about this whole no movement phase in manifestation. And that's why in this video, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to deep dive into the esoteric, unpacking the science and the psychology behind manifestation. And on top of that, I'm going to offer you guys the practical strategies that you need to help you to navigate through this 3D world when it feels like you're essentially just treading on water. So stay with me, because I promise you, by the time I am done, you will not be questioning or saying that there's no movement. You're going to remember this video, you're going to remember what I taught you in this video, and you're going to feel much more empowered, like everything is working in your favor, because it absolutely is, if you decide that it is. But stay with me, because I understand that the critical part of our mind, those of us with different mental health disorders as well, those of us who are a bit OCD or a bit of a anxious disorders or depression or things like that, we might find it quite hard. We hear these phrases over and over, but we're just not convinced. We're just not comfortable. So this is my aim in this video. Do you want to be comforted? Do you want to be empowered? Do you want some knowledge to take with you into the road to success? Then you're in the right place. You're here for a reason. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday. I'm Athena Raven, guys. And I know that usually Fridays have been dedicated to your incredible success stories, not that of my clients only, but even you who are viewing it at home, whether it was before the law, after the law, it doesn't matter. I want to give all of you a voice, and I've dedicated half of my website to you guys. Send me your success stories. In the description box below, I've got the links to my emails, to my website as well, if you want to read some more success stories. So don't be worried if you still want to hear about more incredible success stories. I'm still posting them up, but I might not get as much chance to create a video on them, because you guys are keeping me so busy with the Discord community, in which so many of you are doing so well, getting incredible successes as well, which I can't wait to share with you all. And of course, one-to-one experiences, of which I'm getting more successes shared. So I'm actually going to share with you a story time that is going to reveal to you the whole notion behind no movement and what's happening here, why we are getting movement. But maybe the key is not only that we don't see a lot of it, but that we don't actually understand a lot of it. So with that, sit back, relax, grab yourself a hot drink, okay? Get yourself a notepad as well, make some notes, or make some notes in the comment section below, because those of you who have been doing that, actually, I noticed, very, very helpful to other people who are viewing the content, who perhaps didn't grasp it. Remember, all of our minds are wired differently. Some of us have certain mental health conditions or different ways of learning. So if you're sharing in the comment section about the key points of the video that would be helpful to yourself and to someone else, amazing. That's what I want. Community where we will help each other, because you're all going to get success. I've decided it. My intention is strong. That's it. You're all getting success. So let's get to the bottom of this no movement, shall we? I keep doing that lately. I've been drinking it and it keeps on splashing back in my eye. So bridges are not obvious. Let me share what I mean by this. So I've got a success story, another success story coming in from, actually it's a client of mine who's already shared, I think she shared 2 successes actually. She's incredible. Like I say, I ensure that my clients get success in all avenues, in all areas. I'm not just interested in one desire. You're all getting success everywhere you go, right? So her mother was sick. She came to me for help. I've also imagined with her, and her mother made a miraculous recovery against all odds. Maybe you guys will remember that story. She was my Italian client who was saying they were saying that her mother was never going to be able to eat again. She was going to have to eat through feeding tubes. It was some sort of degenerative disease or something like that, and Lou Gehrig's disease, and literally, and then only to have all the doctors go against their original diagnosis. And now her mother is, well, probably still recovering, but really well. Tubes are out, eating pizza with her daughter, which is what she had imagined. Everything is amazing. Now, who would have known that her sharing that success story was part of her bridge to success of her SP? What I will say is that actually there was many incidents leading to that, because she went from absolutely no contact, complete block off, to her SP, to now they're together, right? Or everything is falling into place. So she's going to share that. But essentially, part of her bridge was her sharing her success story. Now, she wasn't about to go, oh my God, Athena, I shared my success story of my mother's health. That means I'm getting my specific person. It's not obvious, is it? Yeah, that was a huge movement. Do you want to know why? And I won't share too much, because I'll let her share the details. Plus, I don't really know all the details yet. She hasn't shared it all with me. But she said to me, now I know the video that I shared, it always inspires a lot of people. Your success stories inspire many people. And very occasionally, some people be like, can I speak to your client, please? I really feel like I need to connect with them. Now, I don't encourage this, because I do protect my clients' privacy. And very rarely do my clients want to engage. I mean, they've got lives, they're busy. It's hard work keeping up on social media and that. But they do. They respond to your comments, don't they, a lot of my clients, and give you answers as to what they did and what worked. But her in particular, actually, this person who reached out, I said to her, I can't promise anything, but let me just check. And so I checked, and so my client said, all right, which surprised me, actually. And little did I know, so they became friends. Now, they're playing an integral role in each other's manifestations, interestingly enough. And when my client got her success, now more of her success, I should say, she said to me, you'll never believe it, but that lady who wanted to befriend me, she played an integral part of this bridge to success. She was like, I finally understand what you mean, because you know that I say this stuff to you all the time, but it doesn't really go in. It's not obvious, is it? That, oh my God, I made some random friend. And that random friend plays a very important role in you manifesting one of your main goals. It's not that obvious. It was a bit like me when I set an intention for when I wanted to leave the current job that I was at when I was working at the bank. I absolutely hated it. I set the intention. I knew exactly what I wanted. I could envisage. I didn't know where I would work, but I knew the qualities of the kind of job that I wanted. And 2 years, I had no movement, right? But actually, I had a hell of a lot of movement. I just didn't know. Like when my boss slammed me down, she slammed me down when I asked her for a raise. Little did I know that played a really important role, because I'm a bit anxious and a procrastinator, and you know, had it not been for her slamming me down in such a horrific way, I might not have had the motivation to then take up the job opportunity that just came to me from out of nowhere from a friend of mine. Little did I know that 2 years ago, when I set the intention, I was influencing someone of a very big bank and organization to have a thought, to then gather a meeting, to then decide that we're going to change the structure of how we work. We're going to go from a waterfall approach to an agile approach. And I didn't know all of this was happening in the background. But you see, my intention affected everyone, a bit like what I discussed in the thought transmission video, right? So all of this incredible movement was happening behind the scenes, but I couldn't see it. Does that mean there was no movement? Do you understand more of what I'm saying? So with the first story, movement, you know, you make a random friend or you share a random success story about someone else. Who would have thought it played an important role? Just like me, who would have thought my boss slamming me down played an important role? And who would have thought they're in a galaxy far, far away? Well, it wasn't far away. It was just the other side of London. But who would have thought that there was an organization that was going through an entire restructure just in order to create a job for little old me so that it ticked all the boxes of what I wanted. Do you see what I'm getting at, guys? Do you see? This is why it's important to speak of this stuff through experience, which not a lot of people have, right? Regurgitation is a bit different to experience, but all of you have experience. Every single one does. We don't need to regurgitate what we've heard. We've got the experience. Access it. Think about all your past manifestations right now and see for yourself how a lot of the movement was really not that obvious. One of my SP success stories, you guys know, big part of my bridge to us reuniting was me dyeing my hair that day, and was Coco dragging me to the park, and was me letting him. Can you imagine if I made a video going, guys, this movement happened with my SP because Coco dragged me to the park, or I decided to dye my hair today. It just wouldn't happen, right? So let's understand this first part. A lot of the forces are going on behind the scenes. So just like 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter and dark energy, for example, you know, forces that are essentially invisible to us, but is crucial to the cosmos. So your manifestation is also happening behind the scenes, you know, beyond the scope of your immediate perception. So think about it. You know, we only perceive a tiny fraction of what's actually happening around us. It's like we're at some sort of, it's like looking at an iceberg, for example. When you look at an iceberg, you only see the tip of it. We know that, don't we? We only see the tip of it. We don't see this huge monstrosity underneath the ice. Not that your manifestation is a monstrosity, but you get what I'm saying. There's so much more under the surface, right? And we only see the tip of it. So trust me, there's a lot of action going on. In the same way, there's a lot of action going on that we just can't perceive for whatever reason. We cannot see it. So imagine this for a moment, because we've all been, let's be kids again. I'll be playful with imagination. Let's be kids again, and you're at your friend's birthday party and they've got a magician, and you're watching the magician perform. Even as adults, we do that as well. We're watching for the tricks. We're watching for the sleight of hand. We're watching to see what they're doing, how the tricks work. But the whole time that we are intensely looking for the movement, looking for the signs, looking for it, right? We're missing the bigger picture. We're missing the fact that the real magic is actually happening behind the scenes. It's perhaps nowhere even to do with their hands. Much similarly, you want to think of it as the universe is essentially orchestrating a symphony of events behind the scenes. So even when you think nothing is happening, in fact, how do we know? It's just such a symphony of events. It's such an integrated, woven tapestry of events. How do we know? How can we actually say there's no movement? Maybe we don't even know what the hell movement is half the time, right? It's like with the Hermetic principle of correspondence. You've heard me say this before: as above, so below; as within, so without, right? So if 95% of the universe is operating through this unseen, why wouldn't our manifestations be brewed in the unseen as well? If everything is within and everything is within here, then it makes sense. There's nothing tangible here, is there? It's all happening within here, and then it is birthed into the 3D, right? So just because it's unseen doesn't mean that it's not happening. I mean, Einstein's, you know, everyone's heard of Einstein, right? Einstein's theory of relativity. So if his theory of relativity can remind us that things like time and space, things that we think are really solid, you know, the past, present, future, and space, and we think of it in such a way, right? And we really make that quite a strong belief within us. But if his theory of relativity can show us that it's not what it seems, actually. Time can be stretched, it can be bent, space can be warped. So if Einstein could wrap his head around the fact that, you know, time is just a concept, right? It's not an absolute, then perhaps we can also be a bit more flexible with our expectations of manifestation too. Now, I want to talk about the Hermetic principles of mentalism in particular, which states all is mind. And you know that because all of my success stories, like I've said, even to losing weight and changing my appearance and looking younger than my years, it all started off mentally in the mind. However, if I was to not be the person who had lost weight, which I wasn't in the beginning, and I was trying and forcing the 3D, I was just met with so much resistant, fluctuating weight. It just wasn't coming off, right? Because I hadn't shifted in here. So all is mind, universe is mental. Remember that. No, this doesn't mean, because I always think universe is it's mental. We said it in the Southeast, it's mental. Universe is mental doesn't mean the universe needs a therapist, right? But it just means, it just means that everything in creation began with a thought, began within our imagination. And our thoughts and imagination is like the blueprint for the universe, which is a pretty cool way of looking at it. So think of it this way, maybe this will make you feel better. I'm going to throw in some more analogies so you can wrap your head around it. Think of you are the architect and you're drafting the designs, and the universe is the construction crew. And everyone is playing their part. The universe is controlling every person, every form of nature, everything, to play their part, hard hats and all, to work tirelessly behind the scenes to bring your dream to fruition. Which, when I have that image in my head, as crazy as an analogy as it sounds, I imagine all these people like working like little elves and stuff with their little hard hats, but they're actually working on it. If I'm worried that there's no movement, I can be like, no, the universe is working on it because I've set my intention, I know. And essentially what's important to remember as well is that we only use a small fraction of our brains. What do they say, 10%? Although I don't know if that's actually really true or a myth, but we know anyway that we don't tap into our brain's full potential. We don't always see the full picture of our manifestations at work. It's like each of us are running a supercomputer, which really is what our minds are, but we're only using it half the time to play solitaire. So if we're not using the full capacity of our minds, imagine how much we are missing here, as I demonstrated in my previous video on telepathy. Now, if we think about it in terms of quantum physics, there is a concept of, it's been called superposition. And this is where particles exist in multiple states at once until it's been observed. A bit like the theory behind like Schrodinger's cat. You know, the manifestation is both happening and it's not happening at the same time until it solidifies into your reality. So by stating this, I'm getting you guys to see that maybe it's time for us to stop overthinking things and to start to embrace the paradox of the universe. So the next time that you catch yourself maybe doubting it or questioning it, and is there movement, there's no movement, getting anxious about it, just remember that a lot of this magic is happening behind the scenes, right? From the magician. It's all happening behind the scenes. So you've got to trust that the universe is actually handling the logistics right now, even though we're not getting an hourly update as to how it's progressing sometimes. I mean, there's some manifestations of mine, like when I set my intentions for Joseph, the bridge of events, I had no obvious sign of movement, no contact with him, no connection with him for 5 years. But everything that was happening, as obscure as it seemed at the time, was playing an integral role in our bridge of events to me manifesting him and us coming together as we are today. How many of you have heard of Rumi? Eve, this is for you. She introduced me to Rumi, actually, one of my clients. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. You impressed, hun? The quieter you become, the more you can hear. So it's time for us to quieten our minds, quieten the doubts, quieten the sort of logical thinking patterns and everything that's telling you no. Shut down your senses to this outside world. Turn within. Turn up your levels of trust within yourself, and then listen to the subtle whispers of the universe that is assuring you that everything is unfolding as it should, because it absolutely is. We're just not being able to tell right now. So now let's have a look at the psychology of it. And why is it that there could be, because we've established that movement is behind the scenes, a lot of it. We've also established that movement can be misconstrued because it might be something obscure that's not related, like spilling a cup of coffee or falling over, or I don't know, talking to an old friend. So it might not be directly related. So another reason why we miss the signs, this has a lot to do with psychology. And this is one that shocks a lot of my clients a lot of the times, because they're living in a world of their desire is invisible. And when I make it visible to them, because I study everything that they say and they do, they're left in absolute shock. Because I tell you, well, I'll go into it here, because it's like it's so obvious. It's something that you think you should see, but you don't. And this is to do with how our brains are wired for selective attention. So we focus on what we deem is important, which means that we filter out potential cues. It could be subtle. They could actually be quite obvious cues as well. That's how powerful it is. We just blank them out. Let me give you an example of this. Are you still with me? Okay, stay with me. We're getting to the good stuff. How many of you have come across the gorilla experiment? Do you guys think I'm mad? She's like, Athena, gorillas? What's this got to do with manifesting? Hear me out. I remember when I was studying, the tutor was saying to us, okay, we're going to do this. This is the gorilla experiment. And I think you can access this. There's videos of it on YouTube, I'm sure. Now, we were all asked to watch this video with people playing basketball. And, you know, they're passing the ball to each other. And we were asked to take a look, whilst they were passing the ball to each other, count how many times people passed the ball. So we're all there looking at the magician's hands, right? We're all there concentrating on how many passes are there going on here. And then we all come up with pretty much the same number. I'd say like 98% of us got the same number. 1 or 2 people got maybe 1 digit or more out. So the teacher told us, yes, great. You know, the answer is 12. But did any of you see the dancing gorilla? I kid you not. I kid you not. Nobody saw it. No one saw it because it's, and I'm not talking, by the way, I'm not talking like it was something that was subtle either. I'm talking slap bang in your face. There's these people playing basketball, and there's this gorilla doing a moonwalk and then standing in the center, and he's doing another little sort of jig, and then he's moonwalking back out right in the center. He's standing there kind of taunting us, and we're there just like going 1, 2, like amazing. Now, I know that seems like quite an extreme example, and obviously now I've told you about the experiment, so for those of you who haven't done it, you're aware of it though. But that's how powerful the mind is. All of you have done this. What about when you've been really absorbed in texting someone that you've missed the surroundings, or you've ended up walking into a lamppost, which is what happened to me not long ago, bash into a lamppost, so embarrassing. But that's the thing, I'm not totally aware. Things that are right there, slap bang in front of me, being totally dismissed because my attention and focus is elsewhere. So this is what we need to remember. You see, your assumptions and your beliefs are acting as mental filters, shaping what you perceive and what essentially is slipped out of your radar. And this is known as the confirmation bias, which I've discussed before, which is a psychological phenomenon where our minds favor information that essentially confirms your existing beliefs, and it disregards any evidence that contradicts them. So if I believe that I am not chosen, guess what my mind's going to do? It's going to filter in all of the evidence, an abundance of evidence that I'm not chosen. And it's going to filter out an abundance of evidence that says that actually I am chosen. So if you believe that there is no movement, again, in much the same way, your mind is going to be filtering it all out. It's going to be like your spam filter is on overdrive, except you're not filtering out spam, you're filtering out all the wonderful information that says you're getting movement and filtering in everything that says you're in lack and it's not happening. It's a little bit like you're wearing noise cancelling headphones at a symphony and we're complaining that there's no music, but we're surrounded by music, right? So does that make sense? It's just a lot of us have the blinkers on in this, and this is why your assumptions and beliefs are so important. This is why it's important for you guys to understand what we're doing, why we're doing this, and the concepts behind this. You see, a lot of it is based in psychology and science. Anaïs Nin. How many of you have heard of Anaïs Nin? The famous quote, I'm sure you've heard this: we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Juicy gem, jot it down, because that in itself, that quote in itself has reminded me so much of my power on so many occasions. Even when you come across people who are naysayers or trolls or whatever, I'm like, you know what? This person doesn't have anything against me. They're not seeing me as I am. They're seeing themselves essentially in me. They're seeing through their perception of reality. That's what they're seeing. And it's very much influenced by their internal state. That's how they're experiencing it, right? So you can't take anything that anyone says to you too personally, because they're not seeing you. They're not talking about you. They're talking about themselves the whole time. Their perception of you, which is shaped by themselves. Now consider this. Another reason why, if you are convinced that nothing is happening, you might be overlooking these serendipitous events or subtle shifts that is indicating that your manifestation is unfolding because of this, because of these filters in our mind. So it is important to realize that, and realize that, okay, if I believe that I'm the person who's getting what I desire, if I've gone to my end, then my mind is filtered and geared, and I will see and perceive everything and everyone around me in harmony with that end result rather than against. Does this make more sense? So our beliefs and assumptions not only filter our perceptions, as I said, but it also has the power to shape our reality. And this isn't just esoteric, mumbo jumbo. It's actually backed by science. So there was a very classic experiment in which, I think it was Rosenthal Jacobson's experiment with the teachers. Teachers were told that there were some students who were particularly poised for intellectual growth. I mean, these were just random students that were chosen, right? But it ended up being that the students that were selected, these special students, whatever, ended up performing better. They ended up performing better simply because the teacher's expectations very subtly influenced their behavior and attitudes towards them. This is a classic example of the self-fulfilling prophecy, and also a very classic example of what I was stating with regards to, the telepathy as well, and mirror neurons and stuff. And that's why a lot of my clients as well get success. It's not just with the skill and experience I have, but my intention is so strong, and for all of you it's strong. It's not just my clients, everyone on this channel. It's like I've got this intention, this belief that the kind of people who watch this content and grasp it, you're inevitably going to get success. Inevitably. That's what I've decided. That's my belief, that's my intention. And so because of that, and the way that I present to you, and the kind of people that you are who resonate with this content and the way I'm teaching it, you are geared for that. And that's why you're going to notice more and more success. I'm seeing it more and more everywhere I go. And so this is why my beliefs, my expectation is that I see change within people within the first time that I meet them. I expect to see that change. I expect to see that shift. I don't view people, I don't view you guys who come to me, I don't view any of you as victims. You're not some helpless victim who's a victim of your circumstance. No matter what you've been through, I don't see that. I see you as individuals with immense power who just need a bit of guidance, but that power is awakening within them. And I am just simply part of your bridge to help you to shift your perception, see your new reality, and continue onwards to your success. And that's why all of you are getting success, okay? So if your beliefs influence not only what you perceive, but also how the situation unfolds, it is crucial to examine and to adjust them. As Wayne Dyer famously said, I've spoken about Wayne Dyer before, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's why I say to people all the time, don't worry about the outside and what it's doing. You're focusing within. And when you change, this will change. And that's why, again, there can't be any movement, because as soon as I change my perception, I'm in a whole new world. That's why people think that they've quantum shifted, because their reality suddenly looks extremely different. But really, reality hasn't changed all that much. I've changed, and I have confirmation bias has filtered out one thing, filtered in something else, and suddenly everything looks completely different. And it can look very, very different in some cases. It's almost a little bit mind-blowing. That's why a lot of clients kind of sit there like unable to speak for 20 minutes. And you guys have had that too, right? So think about it. Your negative assumptions, it could be acting as a sort of Bermuda Triangle, where all the positive signs are just disappearing within this Bermuda Triangle. So by holding on to the belief that there's no movement, you are essentially feeding into your subconscious mind to ignore. If there's movement, just ignore it. And let's just focus on everything that's not working, or everything that there's no movement. Let's close our eyes here. It's just like you've gone to this amazing buffet, but all you can see is the salad bar, because you're on, I don't know, some special diet, or you're just thinking that, oh, this is just a salad buffet, but you're missing right in front of you this huge chocolate fountain with a carving station and endless supply of chocolate right there in front of you. Like that's how obvious things can be. That's how much we can miss, even if it's right in your face, just like the gorilla experiment. I know, it's pretty surprising, isn't it? But honestly, once you grasp this is what I mean. You're going to be surprised at how much a lot of you were missing simply because you were occupying the wrong state, the state of it's not working, no movement. Now, our brains, all of you know this. You still with me? Have a sip of your hot drink. Our brains love patterns. How many of you know this? You already know this, right? Because all of you see patterns when it comes to your relationships, your jobs, your life. And it will seek out information that confirms those existing beliefs. That's why there's nothing to change but self. If I change my beliefs, I can break a lot of these patterns. And the patterns are not bad. I mean, it's designed to keep us safe. We go into autopilot. It's got its uses. And it is very useful when you are an optimistic and confident person. But unfortunately, it's not very helpful when you're the opposite and you're anxious and all the rest of it. So this is why we need to just gently start to shift your focus when you notice where your assumptions and beliefs are taking you. And you can do it like this. This will help you to navigate your way through, okay? Because now you've got a better understanding of life and no movement. But let's give you a hand in navigating through, okay? So start by questioning your assumptions first. Ask yourself, is it absolutely true that there's no movement? Especially now that you've seen this video. If you're still saying, yes, there's no movement, then you might need to watch it again. But when you say that there's no movement, is there no movement, or is it just that I'm not noticing it? Is it possible that there's more going on here that I'm not realizing right now? Or maybe even better than that, maybe you just want to start with a completely new belief whereby you just believe, you ascertain that, you know, everything is happening in perfect timing and I'm open to seeing all the signs of my manifestation unfolding. And that way you might find signs that are pretty obscure, but you can make the connection. Because that's the thing, a lot of times we don't make the connection, like I said, like with my clients. Who would have thought it, right? So we want to work on tweaking that internal narrative and adjusting our mental filters, allowing for more possibilities to flow in and the evidence of progress to start to come into view. And then we're going to feel more motivated when that happens, right? So this is what we're looking to do all the time. Pay close attention to what your assumptions and beliefs are, okay? And start to adjust them in those two ways I've mentioned. Now, even when you can't see things like, you know, we can't see the wind, for example, but we can definitely see its effects. The trees are swaying and leaves are blowing, right? So it's similar to your manifestation. It might not be visible in its entirety yet. It doesn't mean that it's not there. As the saying goes, seeing is believing, and God knows my ex, who was so logic driven, and is my second SP, so he's still my friend to this day. But he's always very skeptical, very logical mind. Yeah, I'll see it I'll believe it when I see it. How many of you have heard that, right? Believe it when I see it. But we know that in the world of manifestation, believing is seeing. Remember what Neville Goddard was saying about the founding fathers, forefathers, were they didn't believe in democracy, they believed it in. They believed the future in. That's the mindset. So you want to adjust those mental lenses so that you start to notice this vibrant tapestry that's been woven into the fabric of your day-to-day life, all the stuff that we've been missing because we're just too busy focusing on the wrong thing. So consider this. And I think this is really going to help a lot of you as well, who have been feeling tired, who have been maybe trying, maybe you're trying for a job and you've been going for interview after interview and you're not getting anywhere. You're trying to make sales in your business. You've been trying, like the grandpa story when he asked grandma out. How many times was it? 7 times or something? He kept getting rejected. I love that. That story always comes to my mind. But asking someone else, it's not happening. There's no movement. There it is again, right? Think of this next time this happens, okay? Imagine that, you're a stone cutter hammering away at a rock. This stone cutter might hit the rock 100 times without so much as a crack showing, yet on the 100th blow, it splits in two. Now, it wasn't that one blow that did it, but it was all the blows that had basically gone before. Kind of like when you are trying to get into your Hotmail account, you've forgotten how, and you've typed in your password, like, I don't know, hundreds of times. You finally got in. Well, we're not going to dismiss the times before. Each of those times before played an integral role. Just like, for example, Okay, if you've always had failed relationships, doesn't mean that you're always destined for failure. Each one of those failed relationships is helping you to get a step closer to your ideal. Say, for example, you can look at it like that. Or my last relationship with my SP that didn't work means that the next time it will now, because I've been chiseling away at this and it's causing me to change, it's causing me to grow, and him as well, and we're going to come together as different people. Or this job interview, I didn't get this job, or I just got sacked from this job, but that's okay, because that's me chiseling away, and that's not a failure. That's me seeing it as, this is a growth, because what I could take from that interview, I'll take into my next interview, and then it's more likely that I'm going to get it. You see, it's all about mindset. This story is illustrating to you the power of persistence, essentially, and the importance of unseen progress. So each strike of the hammer, it might feel like nothing is happening, but actually that rock, the 3D reality, it is shaped, it is molded, it is weakening with every single blow. So you might not see immediate results, but you're trusting in the process, knowing that eventually you're going to get that breakthrough. This reminds me of Neville Goddard's story. Neville Goddard is a renowned teacher of manifestation, law of assumption, and he offers profound insight into this concept through the metaphor of the sculptor. Some of you would have heard this. He was emphasizing that as a sculptor envisions the finished masterpiece, before the first chisel even touches that marble, he's just got this formless, shapeless, like block of marble. But that artist, he can see in his mind what he wants to create. He's created it already before it's been formed. And he sticks to that vision until it is then birthed into the 3D. So just like the sculptor is seeing a formless mass, but he also sees the image that he wants to create with this formless mass. And that's what we need to do as well. We need to imagine ourselves into our desire, see that vision, stay true to that vision. And this world is the formless mass of marble at the moment that's getting chiseled away at bit by bit. And for some of us, it's really quick transition, and for others, it might be more of a longer process. Some works of art take a bit longer to create, but the sculptor isn't just being random with these chips. It's not just bashing it here and there and haphazardly as well. That's not how the universe works. The universe is very meticulously removing what doesn't belong to reveal this beautiful artwork that all of us could see in our mind. So similarly, you must embody the feeling of your wish being fulfilled and maintain faith in the vision, even when the physical desire hasn't materialized yet. Neville Goddard has said to disregard appearances and conditions, in fact, all of the evidence that denies the fulfillment of your desire. Instead, he's inviting us to rest in the assumption that you are already what you wish to be, and you absolutely are. This is just how we need to look at our reality. This is why I say to you, it's all within. We have to stay true to that assumption, to that vision, because it's just not going to be very obvious how this looks. And if we're chipping away at it, we could be like, oh God, I used to do art class. I know what it's like to look at a canvas and be like, oh no, have I ruined this? This isn't looking right. This is looking really wrong. I've ruined it. And actually you still work out with a masterpiece at the end. So you've got to stay true to that vision, you see. Neville has taught numerous times about faith. Faith is a huge factor in this, and faith is the loyalty to the unseen reality. And this means that you need to trust that your desired outcome exists in the unseen realms, and that your persistence will eventually bring it into the physical world, just as the sculptor remains loyal to the vision, right? He can't see the vision in the physical world, but he remains loyal to that. So you're in a relationship with your desire. Remain loyal, remain faithful to that relationship. I want to share with you actually, because I came across, you guys know Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison very famously invented the light bulb. And there was a quote of his that really put a smile on my face, because he famously said along the lines of, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that don't work. And it made me laugh, because it was just like, that's a brilliant mindset. What we're essentially saying is that each attempt, each interview I went to, or each time I tried to ask an SP out, or each time I did this, or each time I tried to lose weight, none of it was a failure, but it was a step closer to that success. So like Thomas Edison, held the vision of the light bulb firmly in his mind, despite how many failures he was having, no movements he was having, or it's going in the opposite direction. Do you see how it doesn't matter? It is about mindset. Are you taking this to mean that you failed, or is it all a stepping stone towards your world birthing into reality, you know, birthing your desires into the reality? That's what we want to pay attention to. Okay, so are we starting to understand this? Are you feeling better now about this whole concept of no movement? You understand the psychology, you understand the confirmation bias, you understand how this works, and the fact that a lot of it is about trusting in yourself, your abilities, trusting in the process as well, persisting despite the appearances. Things aren't going to look right to you, probably for a while. Things are going to seem quite random. Things aren't going to, the dots are not going to connect together straight away, but you've got to persist through that. I don't mean persisting with techniques and affirmations. I mean persisting in that core belief and knowing that this is who you are and this is the outcome. My vision is what I stay true to. And if I embrace this mindset, then I'm going to align myself with everything working in my favor. I'm going to inevitably get my manifestation. I'm going to see more and more of the signs. I'm probably going to just see everything as a sign, which some of you do. And you connect the dots really, really well. And it's all because of your mindset. So I hope that this makes sense and helped a lot of you guys out, because I know how much anxiety this can cause. And unfortunately, what it means is that we're so busy looking at our 3D reality to give us that sort of validation that things are happening, and we're missing the journey. We've stopped enjoying our lives. We've stopped living our lives because we're too busy doing techniques, waiting for movement, waiting for the SP or the job or the business to define us, to let us know that we're a success. But like I say to all of you, you have to be a success now in order to see more and more success being birthed. Does this make sense? I hope so. Thank you all for joining me. You've been incredible if you've made it this far. Please like and subscribe if you like more videos like this. Love you all. Join our Discord community if you need that extra one-to-one support. And I love and appreciate you. We'll see you in the next video.